go through. As a human resource professional, you must have noticed some people who really work hard in your organization, but they are not working according to their full capacity. So somehow you see them, you believe that they have ability to do much more than they are doing at the moment, but they are not doing that. So sometimes you may be surprised that emotional intelligence might be something that would help you to understand why, in fact, how to convert a dead wood to a solid performer. Okay, so there is this person, he has low ability, he has low morale, that's low motivation, and at the end of the day, this person is not being productive. You may be surprised that a little talk with the person, a little show of love and care can bring the person out from that deadwood zone to a solid performer zone. So it's important that human resources, emotional intelligence is something that is very, very essential to human resource management, and it's so needed in our everyday work with people, because ultimately human beings are not machines. Human beings, just like the name implies, are humans, and because they are humans, they have emotions. And if you really want to be a very powerful human and effective human resource professional, you would increase your emotional intelligence. By the way, emotional intelligence is not something we are born with. It's something that you have to develop. So there is no one who comes into the world and we say, oh, wow, this baby has just been delivered and this baby came with high emotional intelligence. Stuff like that does not exist. So if you would eventually have high emotional intelligence, it is something you have to develop. It is something you have to work on. It is something you have to build over time. So emotional intelligence is very, very important. Now, what if there were ways to harness emotions and use them to everyone's mutual advantage? And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. People have different emotions they are feeling at different times. Even in this class, if I were to ask everyone, how are you feeling at this very moment? People are feeling different things at the same time. So it's important that we manage our emotions properly, that we work on these emotions to be able to harness all these emotions for the greater good of the organization. Have you seen an organization work climate where everyone is comfortable, everyone is happy, everyone feels challenged, everyone feels like they are part of a greater good, everyone feels like they are part of a bigger family? That's what happens when there is high emotional intelligence, not just among the human resource professionals, but even among the workforce. That is why emotional intelligence is so key and very, very important. So let's look at emotional intelligence. What then is emotional intelligence? I've been talking about emotional intelligence, what it can do for the organization, but what then is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, like most of you rightfully said in the chat room, is the ability to recognize the meanings of emotions and their relationships, and to reason and problem solve on the basis of them. So basically, emotional intelligence is involved in the capacity to perceive emotions, assimilate emotion-related feelings, understand the information of these emotions, and then manage them. So when we're talking about emotional intelligence, what we're trying to say basically is that you need to understand. You need to understand what am I feeling at this moment? How am I feeling at this moment? Why am I feeling the way I am feeling right now? Then, when you are able to recognize and understand your emotions you're feeling, then you can now understand how are these people feeling. Maybe you are a leader, you're a team lead, maybe you are a manager, and there are people under you. You can, after having understood how you are feeling, you can now key in or tune in to understand how the people you are leading right now are feeling. Let's take an example. Assuming that you really had a bad day, let me take, for example, let me take example of somebody else that is not you, right? Okay, so as a manager, you're a male, and then you went home and your wife has been complaining about all the promises that you made to her since you guys were married, like 15 years ago. You told her that you are going to take her around the world. You are going to give her the moon, give her the sun, and so you have not even successfully given her a plot of land. And she's just talking about all of these things and feeling terrible about it. And then she's complaining her mates have done that, her mates have done this, and she feels left out. She's already counting the time she has lost and stuff like that. And with all of this pressure, you tried to calm her down, and she was like, no, you have been calming me down for the past 15 years. This is what you've been telling me, and now I don't believe you anymore. I'm tired. And with all of this emotion, you just stepped into the workplace. And then being a manager and then having people subordinates under you, the first person who came to say, top of the morning, boss, you just look at the person and you're like, what is top about the morning? Get out, And then before you got to your seat, the secretary or the cleaner the cleaner did not really clean the office well. You just saw cobwebs here and there. And before you could sit down, there's a report in front of you that was shabbily done by the secretary. And all of this, you are shouting and screaming at the top of your lungs to everybody in the office. Now, this is happening because of your emotions. Now, where emotional intelligence comes to play is that emotional intelligence now lets you know that these people you are shouting on, screaming on, they are really, really not your problem, right? They are not the cause of what you are going through. They are not the cause of what is happening in your life. They are not the cause of what's happening in your family. And rightfully, they may have done a few things wrong, like not cleaning the office well, like not submitting a very properly done report. But then you notice that if you understand that this is what you are feeling, if you recognize your own emotion, if you perceive and understand what you are feeling, it will be easy for you to understand that these people you are shouting on did not deserve this. In fact, as a matter of fact, it's possible they also had their own bad day at home, but came to the office and tried to have a very beautiful day, okay? And you shouldn't be lashing out on them and pouring out your own emotions on them, but rather you should also understand how is their day going. So instead of shouting on everybody, you can do something. You can move away from just your own self, because that's true leadership. Stepping away from just what you feel to also find out what other people are feeling and ask them, how is your day? You might be surprised. Somebody may have had a worse day than you. One of the persons you may be shouting on, the secretary who did not submit a good report, it may have turned out that the secretary's mother is in coma in the hospital, and she had to rush to the hospital before getting to work, and all of those has messed up her mind. You may never ever know. And then you look at you think you're having a bad day, only for you to discover that somebody was having a day that is practically worse than what you are going through. So emotional intelligence helps you to recognize the meanings of emotions and their relationship. It helps you to perceive and understand what you are feeling, assimilate those emotional related feelings, and then understand what other people are feeling, tune into what they are feeling, and then manage these feelings. All of these feelings to be able to have a good day and to be able to have a good relationship with other people at work. That's why we are talking about emotional intelligence here in human resource management. That's what we're talking about, emotional intelligence, because as a matter of fact, a particular man who made emotional intelligence very popular, his name is Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman wrote a book on emotional intelligence, and he said something that was very striking. He said that emotional intelligence can account for 80% of your success in the workplace. So your IQ, all of those other things can account for just 20%, but emotional intelligence can account for almost 80% of your success in the workplace. So which means that even if you are very intelligent, very brainy, the smart one in the class, the smartest one in every room, the very, very intelligent and intellectual professional, if you do not add to this emotional intelligence, there will be challenges. You may not be a high performer. Okay, let me ask this question. Have you ever seen somebody who, this person is smart, This person is intelligent, but this person has difficulty relating with people. Have you ever experienced anyone or anyone like that in your workplace? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know in the chat room. Just say something. Let me know. Have you ever, do you know anyone anywhere? Okay, even if it's not your own workplace, maybe in the previous places you worked, have you ever experienced anyone like that? Yes, thank you. Chimdin Ndukife said yes. All right, thank you. I hope there are more people. Yes, Martha Andrew said yes. Alice Jane Brown said yes. All right. So I'm not the only one who has experienced such people. You know, they are very intellectual. You know, these people are smart, you know, but then nobody likes them. They too act like they don't like anybody. Yes, thank you, Grace. Nobody, it's so difficult to reach to them because they're always arrogant, you know, they are so high-minded. It's really hard. They don't understand people. They don't their empathy level is too low. All right, their emotional intelligence is too low. They don't even understand that human beings have issues, all right, and are trying to juggle all of these issues together with with being effective and efficient in the workplace. They don't understand this. So there are people like that, and that's why we are learning emotional intelligence, because it will greatly help you to be able to become a very effective human resource professional. You won't be seen as a monster in your organization. You won't be seen as the wicked one. All right. I know that some human resource managers sometimes in your organization, they might demonize the human resource professional, all right, make the person look like this is the monster, this is the one that determines whether you are hired or fired, the one that determines whether you are allowed to survive in this organization or not. But human resource professionals shouldn't be demonized like that, especially if you add to what you know, emotional intelligence. I hope you are already interested in learning more about it. Just let me know if you are interested in knowing more about emotional intelligence. Tell me in the chat room. Just use any word you know. I don't want to say 11 or 00. So whatever it is, if you're interested in learning more, just let me know a yes, a no, a go ahead, a shoot, whatever it is that you want to share with me. All right. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Martha. Is she the only one? Yes, thank you, Wyson Butterman. All right, thank you so much. All right, so let's move on and learn more about emotional intelligence. Yes, thank you, Chimdindo. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move on and see more on emotional intelligence. Thank you, Alice. So as the pace of change increases, our workplaces make greater demands on our cognitive, emotional, and physical resources. That is why emotional intelligence will continue to emerge, not as something nice to have, but as an increasingly important set of must-have skills. Yes, thank you, Grace. I'm going on already. All right, so emotional intelligence is a skill that everyone needs to have, especially because, as a matter of fact, we were not created to live in isolation. We were created to live in association. So wherever human beings are, and you find yourself there as a leader, as an employee, as a subordinate, as a manager, whichever role you are playing in that organization, you discover that you deal with human beings, you interact with human beings, you connect with human beings. And because you do all of this, that is why it is so important that you have emotional intelligence. As a matter of fact, I must tell you that emotional intelligence will determine how long you stay in a particular workplace. It will determine whether you are improving or whether you are not improving. It will determine whether you have good relationships with people or not. It will determine whether you get promoted fast. As a matter of fact, have you seen someone, let me use this example. In the workplace, do you know that do you know somebody like this that fits this avatar? Somebody who in the workplace, no matter what is happening, this person is calm. No matter how badly things are falling, it looks like everything is falling like a domino, you know, this person practically knows what to do. This person is the person that everyone goes to when they are feeling bad. This person is the person people go to when they are feeling confused. This person is like the easiest person to talk to in your workplace. Do you know anybody like that? If you know, just let me know in the chat room. Let me know in the chat room. Let me know. Yes, thank you, Alice. You know, yes, thank you, Martha. This is how you know the people who have higher emotional intelligence. And like I said earlier, emotional intelligence is not a skill that you are born with. Yes, thank you, Chimdindo. Said, yes, so I know somebody like that. Yes, Ngo said, I am one of them. Amazing. All right, Grace said, self, that is you. All right. So you see, it's that what we know about people like that is that they have a higher measure of emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is basically measures, which means that even if you have a good quality of emotional intelligence today, you can still improve on it. You can still work on it. You can still improve on it. And if you don't have emotional, if you have a very low emotional intelligence, you can still improve and work on it. It's not something, it's not an innate quality. It is a quality that can be increased and developed by training. All right. So let's see more things about emotional intelligence. Now, I'd like us to talk about the personal benefits of emotional intelligence. What are the benefits to you as a person? Now, I'm not talking about it from the human resource perspective. I want to talk about what is the benefit. How do you, as an individual within an organization, benefit from having quality or high emotional intelligence? Number one, you have greater career success. Do you know that it is not everyone who has been promoted or who was made boss or who was made manager was just made because of their physical output or their physical results or their intellectual prowess? Some advance in their career simply because they are the ones who have higher emotional intelligence. They are able to relate with others better. They are able to understand others better. They are able to have better relationships with people. So another benefit of emotional intelligence is that you build stronger relationships with people. Even in your workplace, you have stronger and better relationships with the people that you work with. There'll be increased optimism and confidence. Nobody wants to hang around somebody who is always negative, always sad, always thinking about all the bad things. You know, Nigeria scatter, the whole world is crumbling. This is the end of the world, apocalypse. Nobody wants to hang around anybody like that. You know, everybody wants to hang around that optimist, the one who sees a better tomorrow, the one who sees that no matter how bad things are today, things will definitely become better. So it will help you to increase your optimism and it will help you to increase your confidence. The best apparel any individual can wear is the apparel called confidence. Confidence in yourself, confidence in who you are, confidence in what you have, confidence in what tomorrow can bring. You know, confidence is a very beautiful virtue that everyone has to wear. I know and I understand that as individuals, sometimes things attack our confidence, you know, our situations, our experiences, the challenges that we are going to, you know, all of those imposter syndrome, things that tell you, oh, you shouldn't be here, you are not worth listening to, you are not worth being the leader, you are not worth, people are not following you, they don't like you. All of those imposter syndromes can be handled with a good dose of confidence. Another benefit of emotional intelligence is that it will give you better health. You have a better health, all right? You'll be healthier. Do you notice that people who have bad health, most of them, not all of them, most of them is usually a result of bitterness, unhappiness, disappointment from lack of from expectations that are not met. Okay, there are several things that make people to have very, very terrible health, and emotional intelligence will better your health, because when you have emotional intelligence, you are you are excited, you are hopeful for tomorrow. You understand yourself, you know what triggers your emotions, because see, there is something we call emotional hijack. Everybody type in the comments in the chat room if you could hear me. Just type emotional hijack and I'll tell you what it's all about. Emotional hijack. Just type it in the chat room and I'll tell you what it's all about. Emotional hijack is something that can happen to someone when you do not have a high level of emotional intelligence. Emotional hijack. Yes, thank you, Nju Louis. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chimdindo. Thank you, Wysin Butterman. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Martha. Emotional hijack. Now, let me tell you a little bit about emotional hijack. Yes, thank you, Alice Jane Brown. Emotional hijack happens when your mind is hijacked by your emotions. We are supposed to use our head and at the same time use our heart. Now, thank you, Adebisi Emmanuel Jato. Now, when emotional hijack occurs, at the moment, your emotions have taken over. The way you are feeling is now controlling everything. Let me give you an example. Thank you, Dr. Alex Barbara. All right, thank you. Yes, let's talk about emotional hijack. Now, that moment where, have you ever witnessed anything like this? Somebody gets angry and begins to break the computers in the office, begins to throw chairs, begins to hit the table and push things around in the office. What has happened at that time is what we call emotional hijack. And how you know it is emotional hijack is that eventually, after a while, the person will be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I'm so sorry. I didn't know when I did that. Some others will say it is the devil. Some others, and the devil is just on his own, and they just said it is the devil. What has happened at that moment is what we call emotional hijack. At that moment, your mind has been hijacked by your emotions. So your brain is no longer controlling your mind. Rather, what you are feeling at that moment, those feelings of rejection, those feelings of sadness, bitterness, betrayal will take over. And then you see yourself doing things that you shouldn't have done in the first place. That's the reason behind many domestic violence that we witness even in this generation. That's the reason behind people slamming on their doors on their bosses. That's the reason behind even some jobs, people losing their jobs because of emotional hijack. There are people, subordinates, maybe you take a decision as a leader or as a human resource professional, and this decision affects somebody, a subordinate in the office or an employee in your workplace, and then this person now goes to writes a nasty letter to you. This person can even go to the point of putting you out there on social media. This person can go to the point of blackmailing you or even stalking you. So there are several things that can really go wrong, and this happens when emotions are hijacked. So it's important that we understand these personal benefits of emotional intelligence. I hope you are enjoying this class. Please let me know if you are. Now let's talk about professional benefits of emotional intelligence. But before I do that, I would like to be sure that you're able to understand what I shared with you on emotional hijack. So let me know in the chat room what you understand by emotional hijack. All right, let me know in the chat room what you understand by emotional hijack. Yes, thank you, Louis. You said superb. Yes, thank you so much. All right, let me understand. Let me see what you understand by emotional hijack, having shared that with you. Just one or two, and then we move over to professional benefits of emotional intelligence. What do you understand by emotional hijack? Just one comment or two, and we'll be good to go. Thank you, Adebisi Emmanuel Jato. He said, when you are being overwhelmed emotionally. Exactly. Grace said, being carried away by your emotions. Exactly. Very, very correct. Now, let's talk about professional benefits of emotional intelligence. We have talked about the personal benefits of emotional intelligence. Now, I want to talk about the professional benefits of emotional intelligence. Yes, thank you, Fatoye Kudus. He said, emotional hijack is when your emotions take control of your decisions and actions. Apt, very correct, very, very powerful. So let's talk about professional benefits of emotional intelligence. Yes, I still have emotional hijack comments coming in. He said it's when your mind, these are from Wyson Butterman. He said, this is emotional hijack happens when your mind has been taken over by your emotions. Very, very correct. All right, let's talk about professional benefits of emotional intelligence. When you have emotional intelligence, what can be seen? What happens to you? What can people see, especially in the workplace? Number one, you have effective leadership skills. You are able to take the lead and others will follow. You know, it was John Maxwell that said that when you are taking the lead and nobody's following you, you are simply taking a walk. But when you are leading and there are people behind you, it simply shows that you are a good leader. So effective leadership skills is one of the benefits, one of the very seeable, observable benefits of emotional intelligence. Another one is improves communication. When you understand your emotions, you are able to communicate well. Have you seen people who are very upset? When they are upset, they begin to stammer. It seems like the emotions are affecting their ability to communicate. So it does happen. If you are sad, if you are unhappy, if you're openly too excited, communication becomes difficult. But if you have a good balance of emotional, yes, thank you, Alice. When you have a good balance of emotional intelligence, when you have a high EI, then your communication will be improved. As a matter of fact, you'll be able to tell people what it is that you want them to do. And you'd even be able to communicate to people without condemning them. Have you seen somebody who is trying to communicate to people, okay, I don't like what you did yesterday. I don't like how these things are going. This office is supposed to go that way or go, and the person is communicating so clearly that you see your fault, you see your error, and the person is still not condemning you. You know, there's something we call assertiveness in emotional intelligence, your ability to say what you need to say without offending or hurting people with your words. That happens when you have high EI. When you have high emotional intelligence, you're able to communicate well to people. You're able to tell them what you mean, and you're able to mean what you say. So you don't crack jokes unnecessarily. You don't joke with somebody who does not want to be joked with. Remember, we talked about emotional intelligence, that it is you understanding your emotions and then understanding the emotions of others. There are people in your office who don't want to be joked with. There are people in your office who don't want to be just cajoled, all right? Some can take the cajole very well. Some others cannot take. There is a particular lady I know, whenever she comes to the office, you know what she'll tell, look at this pig. These are said, oh, look at this fat cow. You know, she's always joking like that. And honestly, in her heart, there is nothing. Like, she does not mean any harm. But then this is how she jokes around. Now, imagine her joking with a melancholy like that. It will be so, so terrible. How many of you know about the 4 basic temperaments? The choleric, the sanguine, yeah, the phlegmatic, and the melancholy. Do you know about this temperaments? It's so, so, so important, because when you are trying to understand the emotions of people, you should also be familiar with the temperaments. Imagine telling a melancholic person, see, look at this fat cow. Oh my, you have spoiled the entire day for such a person. So improved communication is a function of what? Emotional intelligence. Do you understand what I'm sharing so far? If you understand what I'm sharing so far, I'd like you to type 22, so I'll be sure that I'm not alone in this class. Type 22 if you understand everything I have said so far. Thank you, Chimdindo. Thank you so much. And if you're in this class and you have not been commenting, what are you waiting for? Please comment so I can get to know and be sure that you're part of this class. Thank you, Adebisi. Thank you, Nju. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Fatoye. Thank you, Aisha Falaki. Thank you. This is your first comment. Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Alice. All right. So it's so, so important that you have emotional intelligence. Another benefit of professional benefit of emotional intelligence is that there will be less workplace conflict. Have you seen where people fight in the office? Oh, scratch that. Let's talk about the worst ones. Have you seen people fighting in the House of Senate and in the House of Assembly? Is terrible. You know, these are the people that are supposed to be lawmakers and are representatives. And then what do you see? You see them practically fighting, like giving themselves punches. It is because of low emotional intelligence. As I'm even saying it, I'm feeling ashamed on their behalf. You know, such things should not even happen. Yes, thank you, Adebipe. All right, such things should not happen. Imagine people wearing suits and tie and shirts, you know, and then they are fighting in the workplace. These things happen because of low emotional intelligence. Because if you have high emotional intelligence, you will know what to do to avoid some of these high levels of conflict. Honestly, Conflict cannot be abolished or eliminated or removed entirely from any system, because wherever human beings are, there would certainly be conflict. There are conflicts between our parents and us. There are conflicts between we and our children. There are conflicts between we and even our grandchildren. There are conflicts between husbands and wives. There are conflicts between siblings. All right, so conflicts do exist. Wherever human interactions exist, there will be conflict. But what we are talking about is less, all right, a minimized version of that workplace conflict, so that conflict resolution can be easy. Then better problem solving skills. People are able to solve problems easily, even in the workplace, when there is high emotional intelligence. And also there is increased likelihood of promotion. I said this before, and I'll say it again. The one who is likely to be promoted is the one who is able to manage change well, able to relate better with others, able to have very good leadership skills and relationship with other people. Okay, so let's talk about some other thing. Let's talk about the 5 crucial competencies of emotional intelligence. When you think of these competencies, think of them as, will I say, skeletons that carry the entire body system. Think of them as pillars that carry a building, that make a building strong. Think of them as ingredients that make a soup that is being cooked excellent. Think of them as the basic ingredients, the basic skills, the basic skeletons, the basic pillars that ensure that emotional intelligence is seen in the life of a person. Because ultimately, how we know that somebody is emotionally intelligent is that the person is able to have very effective relationships with others. So let's take a look at this 5 crucial competencies of emotional intelligence. Number 1 is that the first one is self-awareness. Self-awareness. The second one is self-regulation. The third one is social motivation. The fourth one is empathy. And then when all of these things are in place, what we eventually see is effective relationships, strong and healthy and effective relationship. And that the driving purpose of emotional intelligence and in life, in the workplace, in your organization in general, is to have strong and effective human relationships, strong and healthy and effective human relationship, because ultimately the objectives and the goals of your organization cannot be achieved if there are no good relationships within the organization. So there are horizontal relationships, there are vertical relationships, and all of these relationships are essential to ensure that the general goals and objectives of the organizations are fulfilled. Every one of us as human resource professionals know, we already know this, that human beings are the greatest asset of any organization. So employees, whether the management, human beings generally are the greatest assets of every organization. So if human beings are the greatest asset of our organization, what does this tell us? It tells us that we should do everything in our power to make sure that we have very strong, healthy, and effective relationships with these human beings that ensure that our goals and objectives are being fulfilled and achieved. So we're going to be looking at these 5 crucial competencies. Quickly, let me know in the chat room, type in any of the competencies you have seen on your screen. You can type in the first one, you can type in the second one, you can type in all of them. Quickly. Let's do that, so I'm sure that I'm carrying you along. So if I ask you, what are the competencies, what are the 5 crucial competencies of emotional intelligence? Remember, you'll be writing your exams, so you make sure that you understand these things like the back of your palm. Yes. All right, so Fatah says self-regulation, correct. Grace says self-awareness, correct. Chimdundu says self-motivation, yes. Martha said empathy, beautiful. So these are the competencies of emotional intelligence. Now let's take a look at them one after the other. The first one is what we call self-awareness. When we talk about self-awareness, what comes to your mind? Self-awareness is basically you knowing yourself, you understanding yourself, you understanding what you are feeling and why you are feeling the way you are feeling. That is self-awareness. The more we know about ourselves, the better we are able to control and choose what kind of behaviors we will display, even in a work setting. Without self-awareness, our emotions can blind us. Remember emotional hijack, right? And guide us to do things or to become people we really don't want to be. Have you seen a work environment where there is so much competition? Everybody is trying to meet targets because because at the end of the day, there are rewards for meeting the target. You see people now live, they come to a point when they are no longer relating with others. They begin to behave like animals, like carnivores, like people who are in a zoo. All right, everybody's trying to eat the next one. Everybody's trying to eat the next one in the food chain. Stuff like that. These things happen when you are not self-aware. You need to be self-aware. When we talk about self-awareness, it simply means knowing yourself. Who am I? Who do I want to be known as? What do I want to be known for? What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling the way I am feeling right now? Honestly, if you are self-aware, it will affect the way you reach out to others. It will affect the way you relate with other people. It will affect the way you work with your colleagues at your workplace. It will affect the way you work with employees. It will affect the way you work with your subordinates and your superiors. Who am I? What do I want to be known for? What kind of boss do I want to be? Am I the kind of boss that, do I want to be the kind of boss that when I step into the workplace, everybody goes into hiding? Everybody's running for their dear life. Or do I want to be the kind of boss that people wake up every morning and they look forward to coming to the office because of me? They want to see my face. They want to know what new thing I have to offer. They want to see my leadership. They want to be inspired by the way I behave. So that is self-awareness. Who are you? What are you feeling? What do you know about what you are? Secondly, it is not enough for you to know who you are. It is not enough for you to know what you are feeling or why you are feeling the way you are feeling. It is also important that you control what you are feeling. That brings us to the second competency called self-regulation. Self-regulation. Self-regulation helps you to control and manage your emotions. When we learn to manage our emotions well, we become masters of mood management. We are able to handle stress and communicate more constructively and consistently. As a result, we even appear more level-headed and we appear more trustworthy to others. Nobody wants to go and meet another hot head. When your head is hot, you want to meet that person who is level-headed, that one who is calm, that one that can be talked to, that one who can understand what you are going through. Self-regulation is key because you may be self-aware all you want, but if you do not know about self-regulation, you will still become an explosive device in your organization. So self-awareness is good, but to your self-awareness, add what? Self-regulation, your ability to control and manage your emotions. Do you know that there are times your boss might have looked at you and then said something terrible to you just simply because you were not able to meet a target or achieve or finish a report you were supposed to finish or achieve a project that you were supposed to tidy up? And then your boss looks at you and says something very, very nasty, something that you really cannot take from anyone else. You know those few moments that those thoughts fly through your head? Like, this man, is it not because you're my boss? I would have slapped you now. This woman, look at her hair, look at how she's talking to me. If I punch you in the face now, you know, those few minutes, something just passes through your mind. I hope I'm not the only sinner here. There are times that those thoughts go through your mind. You know, you're angry, you're like pissed off, you're like, just respect yourself. Also, I will not deal with you. Those thoughts come through your mind, but the fact that they came through your mind and you were able to control, suppress them, and not allow them to even show on your face shows that you are a master at self-regulation. Now, what I just said, if you have ever felt like that, somebody, in fact, almost everybody should have felt like that, unless those who are pretending in this class. And I'm sure we don't have pretenders in this class, right? So I'm sure if apart from your workplace, you may have passed somebody along the way. You may have, maybe you are driving and somebody just quickly drives in front of you as if you were just wasting time on the road, as if you don't have anywhere to go to. You know, some people wind down and say and tell the person, shake a worker and stuff like that. Some others will wind down and begin to abuse, while some others will just suppress it, you know, control it, manage the emotion, and just let go. You know, that's what makes us different. The ability to self-regulate. Now, please, before I continue, I'm not going to continue until somebody confesses to me that they have felt bad about something like that. Sometime it has happened to you. Just let me know. Where did it happen? In the workplace, on the road, even in your house? Tell me, at what point did you feel like thoughts crossed your mind about concerning what somebody did, and like, don't allow me to slap you now, in your mind, but somehow you were able to control it and how it worked out? Just let me know. Where did it happen? Where did it happen? Let me know. Workplace, yes, thank you, Grace. Fatah said mostly at home. Yes, all right. No, nobody's own has happened on the way. Okay, Alice Jane said at work with my boss. It does happen. It does happen. I thought I was the only person, but I can't be the only person because these are real emotions. Adebisi Emmanuel Jato said on the road with Okada guys. Those Okada guys, they seem like they come from a different planet. They have a different mind. they drive out like there's no brake on their motorcycle. Okay, so it does happen to us. And then what happens? Because you are able to control it, that is what self-regulation. That moment you did not go all out to slap that person, to fight the person, or to shout on the person. That moment is called self-regulation. Yes, Njulu said, yes, on the road, but I felt it was pointless fighting back a bike rider who couldn't reasonably understand his fault. I tell you, some of them don't even know that what they're doing is wrong in the first place. So how do you even begin to correct somebody like that? So when that moment you felt like there was no point, like it was pointless fighting a bike rider who may not understand what he has even done wrong, that moment is the moment you self-regulated. So this is a very important key. And you see that emotional intelligence is not as alien as we think it is. It is not as strange as we think it is. All of us may have been knowingly or unknowingly practicing emotional intelligence. Now let's continue to the third competency, self-motivation. Another key competency of emotional intelligence is self-motivation. That moment where you're able to encourage yourself, push yourself forward. You see, employees who are highly self-motivated realize that every job has its less enjoyable moments, but they plow ahead. Every job has its less enjoyable elements, its less enjoyable moments. There are times you have perks to the job, and at times you have things that you don't want to be part of the job. Like as a human resource professional, there are times you may have done a lot of good to some employees simply because you want to encourage them to remain on the job, and then they just leave the job and they live in a very wrong way, begin to speak against the organization, begin to say terrible things against your company or against your business. And these things are things that come with the job. But then, even no matter what comes with the job, no matter the difficulty that comes with the job, maybe you have to sit for long hours and then you have varicose veins. Maybe you have to sit for long hours and your legs are swollen. Maybe you have to talk so much that your throat begins to ache. Maybe your job involves reading too much that your eyes begin to pain you. Maybe your job involves dealing with people, talking with people, and then they get to hate you. These are less enjoyable moments that come with the job. But you have to accept this change. You have to accept that this is part of the job and understand that you just have to be flexible. You cannot allow your emotions to be hijacked again. You cannot allow the job to have a better view. So what do? You develop flexibility. You have better attitudes. You persist towards the goals, despite the obstacles, despite the setbacks that you experience at your workplace. There are many of you, even today, you do not feel like coming to this class, right? But you told yourself, this class is going to be helpful to me. This class is going to be beneficial to me. This class is going to help me in my work, in my job. And then you decided to join this class. That is self-motivation at work. There are many of you who wake up in the morning and you're so tired. You're like, what? I feel like sleeping for an extra hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. But then you tell yourself, no, I can't be late for this job. And then you wake up, push yourself to the bathroom, take your bath, push yourself out of the house and to your workplace. That is self-motivation. We need to come to that point where we're able to motivate ourselves to do the job in front of us. Even employees, we encourage them to motivate themselves. Honestly, people can motivate you all they want, but truly, in all honesty, the best motivation anyone can have is self-motivation. That intrinsic motivation, that motivation that is not waiting for your boss or waiting for anybody to clap for you or talk to you or talk you into doing what you have to do. That motivation that comes from within, that is the best form of motivation. And it only happens when you have emotional intelligence. Let's talk about the fourth competence of emotional intelligence. It's called empathy. Empathy. Let me ask you, when you hear empathy, what comes to your mind? And do you know that there's a difference between sympathy and empathy? Let me know in the chat room. Talk to me in the chat room. What do you understand by empathy? And do you know the difference between sympathy and empathy? Let's talk about this. Now, sympathy basically is when you are feeling for somebody. Somebody has a broken leg. Oh, you have a broken leg, sorry. And then you just continue doing what you're doing. But empathy is you feeling with somebody. So the basic difference between sympathy and empathy is that in sympathy, you feel for somebody. In empathy, you feel with somebody. Wow, Adebisi Emmanuel gave me a very beautiful definition of empathy. He said, empathy is when you put yourself in someone's condition. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. That's why I said that sympathy is feeling for somebody, while empathy is feeling with somebody. So I like you to type it in the chat room, everyone, the difference between sympathy and empathy. Type it in the chat room, so that I know that you got that point clear. Sympathy is feeling for someone. Empathy is feeling with someone. And like Adebisi rightfully said, it is putting yourself in another person's condition. Ask yourself, if it is me, how will I feel? Once we become more honest and intentional with our emotions, it is time to look outward. Is what we talked about initially about self-awareness is you for yourself, right? Self-motivation for yourself. But the moment self-motivation for yourself, but with moments we start talking about empathy, it is you understanding what another person is feeling. You putting yourself in the shoes of another person. You understanding that it could have been you. Nothing made you special. Nothing made you different, all right? What happened to this person could have happened to you. Maybe somebody comes to the office and the person said, we could not sleep last night. That's why I came so late to work, And this person, this person in your organization has not been coming late. I'm not talking about those people who are coming late every day. So anytime you ask them, if it's either their great-grandfather died or their grandmother died or their one cat in their village jammed motorcycle, all those kind of flimsy excuses. No. But this person has always been punctual. And then all of a sudden, this person is able to come early on a particular day. You feel with the person. You feel with the person. You don't just feel for the person. You feel with the person. Understand. Place yourself in the person's shoes. If need be, you can give the person a half day. If need be, you see, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. Let me say that again. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. People want to see that you really, really care for them, especially people that work with you. Emotional intelligence is about tuning into our own feelings as well as the feelings of others around us. Like Adebisi said, you need to put yourself in another person's shoes, put yourself in another person's perspective, learn to see things from another person's perspective so that we can relate with them better. Do you see these two men standing on my screen? Do you see the picture of these two men standing on my screen? Now, they are both looking at themselves. Let's assume that the number 6 is in front of them. Do you know that the number 6, for one person, it will be number 6. But for the other person, what number would it be? For the other person, what number would it be? I'm going to wait for your answer so that I'm sure. Excellent, Louis. Number 9. It will be number 9 to the other person. That is why, and you know what? Both of them are correct. The man who sees it as number 6 is correct. And the other man who sees it as number 9 is correct. Both of them are correct. You know why? They are seeing these things from different perspectives. When you come to that point, when you are able to see things from different perspectives, especially as it relates with other people, you know, at that moment, you are being highly emotionally intelligent. So empathy is key. Putting yourself in other people's shoes. Now, let's talk about the 5th and the last competence of emotional intelligence, and that is effective relationships. Now, when you have been able to master your ability of self-awareness, the ability of self-regulation, the ability of self-motivation and empathy, you pave way for attaining a greater skill in handling relationships. In order to be effective in our teams and our organizations, we need to bring these skills together to become socially intelligent. We become socially intelligent, we become emotionally intelligent when we're able to have good and effective relationships with other people. Now, having said this, what do you think will be some effects of poor emotional intelligence? Now, I want you to think strongly about all we have talked about and give me an effect of poor emotional intelligence that is not on my screen right now. Give me an effect of poor emotional intelligence that is not on my screen right now while I continue this conversation. So some effects of poor emotional intelligence is withdrawal and social problems. See people who are so withdrawn, they don't want to participate, they don't want to be part of what other people are doing. You see other people who are having anxiety and depression issues. You see people who are always, they're always looking for attention. They are always finding it difficult to think through a particular thing. You see others who are always aggressive. And if they want to say good morning, even their good morning is aggressive. If they want to say yes, boss, even the yes, boss looks sarcastic. There are people like that. And all these things are effects of what? Poor emotional intelligence. Fights, put downs, name calling at work, at school, a poor parent-child relationship, poor teacher-child relationship, poor therapist-child relationship, poor boss subordinate relationship. All of these things are effects of poor EI. Now, yes, Louis said another effect of poor EI is low self-esteem. Thank you. That's an excellent answer. Grace said sadist. I tell you, that's a powerful answer, Grace. There are people who are sadists. They will do everything and anything to make another person feel sad. And I tell people, listen to me, when somebody in your organization is consistently and constantly making you feel bad, making you feel sad, just sit back, relax, breathe in air and exhale, and remind yourself that you are not, this is not happening because you are bad. The sadist is simply giving only what they have. You know, nobody can give what they don't have, right? You can't vomit what you have not eaten. Like you have not tasted plantain, all of a sudden you begin to throw up, I throw up plantain. It does not work like that. So you cannot give what you don't have. People who give out those sadistic tendencies, all they have inside their heart, they are sad, they are troubled, they are bitter. And when they open their mouth, what comes out is what? Bitterness. So sometimes it's not about you. Tell yourself it's not about you. Tell yourself that that boss that hates you, that one not like you to smile. Whenever you smile or you're happy, they will just find a way of polluting your water. See, listen to me. It's not because of you. It's because of them. That is all they know to give. That is all that is inside them. So don't take it personal. All right. Now let's look at this grid. In this grid, we have recognition on top, we have regulation down, and then we have self and social. So let's take it one after the other. When you recognize yourself well, it is called self-awareness. And when you are self-aware, it manifests as self-confidence. You are emotionally self-aware. You can accurately assess yourself. And when you recognize things socially, it simply means that you are socially aware, which means you are able to feel with other people. That's empathy. You are able to understand what your organization is going through. That is organizational awareness. Do you know there's a time you come into the office as a leader, everybody is downcast. Everybody is feeling sad. You can switch off that atmosphere by just cracking a joke. You know, a boss's joke, even if it's not very, very funny, at least it lightens the atmosphere. So you might just walk into the organization, you might see everybody's feeling sad and everything, and then you know what the right thing to say, especially like when the COVID-19 hits real bad. You can come into your office and everybody's scared. You know, they are quiet, they are not really talking, they're not really saying their mind, but everybody's scared for their lives, you know. And then you come in and say, oh, COVID does not know our address, so everybody cheer up. We will see the beginning of this, we'll see the end of it. Just that little, that's organizational awareness, understanding what people are feeling in your organization, because your work climate matters a lot. Then you also have service orientation, because you know how they are feeling, you know what's happening in your organization, you now know what service to render. Another one is self-regulation. That's the last grid, the bottom grid. Self-regulation. When you are now self-aware, you can actually self-regulate. That's all we'll be saying. And self-regulation simply means being able to manage yourself, being able to control yourself. Feelings of trustworthiness, conscientiousness, adaptability, achievement, drive to succeed, initiative. Because you're able to control yourself, you know how to do these things. Equally, when you are also social, when you are to regulate socially, you know how to influence people accurately. Because influence simply means your capacity to influence, to affect other people's opinions, other people's mindsets, other people's convictions, other people's thoughts and actions. That's influence. So you can influence people positively when you know yourself, when you're self-aware. You can influence people positively when you understand what they are feeling. You can influence people positively when you're able to regulate your own and manage your own self. So you'll be able to influence them. And then you have a leadership that is called an inspirational leadership. You come into a setting and everybody's excited. Everybody's optimistic about tomorrow. Everybody's hopeful. There is no depressing moments. There are no moments where people are sad and they feel like they can't go on. Do you know, let me tell you, as human resource professional, there are people in your organization who are thinking of committing suicide. And it will be a terrible thing for such a thing to happen under your watch. Wait, I do not say it is your fault. I do not say you are responsible for that. But if you do your job well, if to your job you add emotional intelligence, you'll be surprised at how many lives you'll be saving, even in your organization. There are people that are thinking of taking away their own lives. There are people that are thinking of dying. They are tired of life as it were. But inspiring them, influencing them, telling them there is a better tomorrow, you'll be surprised at the good all of that can do. You'll be able to develop others. You'll be able to build bonds and build effective teamwork and collaboration. People can come to you. People can trust you because you are emotionally intelligent. So that's basically all we've been talking about. It will help your leadership. Remember, leadership is ability to influence. Leadership is influence. And according to George Banner said that leadership is what? Influence. Your ability, not just to understand who you are, but to be able to influence other people. And how do you influence people? You start by self-alignment. You know yourself. You understand yourself. You are resilient. You are focused on what has to be done. And then what do? You begin to integrate. You have the customer orientation, you're able to manage change, you have project leadership, you have the business acumen. And when these things are in place, what will it result to? It will result in effective relationship skills. You'll be able to communicate well with the people that you lead. You'll be able to coach them and mentor those who need coaching and mentoring. All right. You'll be able to actualize your vision and work well with others simply because you have high emotional intelligence. Now, we have talked about emotional intelligence for a while. What are the outcomes of emotional intelligence? A leader who is emotionally intelligent will listen to and employ their emotions for better decision making. Do you know that in your organization, when you are always the one making decisions, you are always deciding what has to be done, you won't have good people working well with you. Emotional intelligence will tell you as a leader, as a professional, as a manager, it will tell you that listen to people and know what their challenges are. Do you know, maybe you're in a production factory, that some people who work under you may have found out better ways, faster ways, more effective and efficient ways to do the same task. But you have to listen to them because they are the ones making those, doing those tasks. Allow them to be part of their decision making. When they are part of the decision making, what we call it, there is buy-in. You make them to buy into the vision. You make them to buy into the decision. When they are part of the decision making process, they would want to do everything to make sure it works. You know why? Because they contributed to the decision. They won't want it to fail because they know if it fails and fails and fails again, you will start making decisions all by yourself. But since they have a part to play, they have a role to play, they have a commitment to it, they would make sure that the decision works out well. Another outcome is that the leader who is emotional intelligence will be more intentional in their action. Before you say anything, you will think about it. You will put yourself in their shoes. If I am the one who is a subordinate and my leader says this to me, how would I feel? Empathy. A leader who is emotional intelligence will create an environment where people want to work, not an environment people want to run away from. There are toxic work environments. Tell me about this. There are toxic work environments. People would want to run. As a matter of fact, they fear, they are scared to be in that kind of workplace. When a leader is emotionally intelligent, they show that they care and they build trust by displaying sensitivity and concern. Sometimes be sensitive to people's needs. Don't be all engrossed in your own issues and your own life. Sometimes reach out from your own self. Find out how people around you are doing. How are they faring? The people that work with you, well, how are they faring? How well do they love the job they are doing? Are they scared for every morning they wake up and they want to come to work? Find out. Then leaders who are also emotional intelligence use their energy and their enthusiasm to motivate others while tempering negative responses to distressing situations. They motivate others and they make sure the negative responses are taken care of. So before I begin to round up for this class of emotional intelligence, I hope you've been very, very impacted and enlightened by this course, right? So let me share some powerful tips with you as we begin to round up. So these are simple and powerful tips on emotional intelligence. Number one, take time every day to appreciate what is right in the world and in your life. You know, sometimes we focus so much on all the wrong things happening around us. We focus on all the bad things happening. We focus on all the things that are not working well in our lives. And then we begin to complain. We begin to worry. We begin to feel bad about all of those things. And that should not be the situation. Sometimes focus on the good things happening in your life. There is a way that the devil tries to make us to see only the wrong things, only the bad things happening. But honestly, there are some good things happening in your life. It is true that you may not have been promoted, but you are alive. It is true that you may not have been promoted, but you still have a job. There are your age mates who do not have a job. There are people who are even in jobs where they feel like dying. They don't want to go to that job again. There is something right. There's something good happening in your life. You may have a terrible boss, but you have a wonderful husband or wonderful wife. You may have colleagues who don't like you, but you have children who adore you. Take time every day to appreciate what is right in your life. Even in the world, don't be looking out for all the apocalypse stuff. All the bad things are about to happen. The world about to be destroyed. The heavens are about to fall. The war about to happen. That country about to fight war with Nigeria. See, there are people that when they go to social media, they're looking for terrible, terrible things. See, there is still love in the world. There's still joy in the world. There's still happiness. Find it. Number 2, increase your emotional vocabulary. Everything should not be negative, bitter, bitter. Some people say, I am sad. I cannot do this. Imposter syndrome. I am not able to. They don't like me. People don't believe in me. They hate me so much. Increase your emotional word vocabulary. Change it a little. Tell yourself, I am smart. I am beautiful or handsome as the case may be. I am incredibly gifted. My world will hear me. Where I am is not where I'm getting to. It is only a journey. Where I am today is not my destination. It's only part of my journey. I will soon shift from this location. Things will get better. The next person to be promoted is me. I will make a difference in my world. Increase your emotional word vocabulary. Number 3, talk to others using the I message. The I message simply helps you to remove the focus from people and put the focus on yourself. Let me use this example. Assuming you have a subordinate that was supposed to submit a report, and the subordinate has not submitted this report, and you want to confront the subordinate. Instead of saying something like, you haven't submitted this report, you are so useless, you are very slow in work, you are unserious about this work. Instead of using all the yous, you, try to say something like, I was not able to meet up my target because of the report that was not submitted. I am not happy about the situation of your work or the condition of your work. I am sad that you are not living up to expectations. So make the focus on you who is delivering the message, the I, rather than on the other person. That way you will not have room to attack the person. Let me say this. Sometimes when we are reaching out to people, we mostly focus so much on what the on the personality of the person. We attack the personality of the person instead of attacking what the person has done. Let me give an example. Like somebody does not submit a report. Instead of you to say something like you haven't I haven't received your report, you begin to say something like, you are useless, you are this, you are that. Now, let's not forget that we cannot say a human being is useless, because if he's useless in reacting reports, there are many things the person is useful in. So when you say things like that, be careful, be watchful. Use the I message. Don't tell the person you are useless. The person is useful in many other things. So tell the person, I wasn't able to do this because of the report that wasn't submitted. I wasn't able to meet targets. We weren't able to reach where we're supposed to reach. Make it more of I, so that you attack what the person has done without attacking the person's personality. It is wrong to attack somebody's personality when the person has not been able to meet a particular target. Number 4, be your own best friend. Be your own best friend. When best friends will leave you, all right, some are friends today and foes tomorrow. So you cannot say this one is my best friend. Be your own best friend. Love yourself, like yourself, all right? Sometimes take yourself out. Sometimes walk around, take yourself out. Go out, buy a nice plate of food for yourself. You must not cook every time unless you love to cook. Sometimes do something nice for yourself. Buy a nice dress for yourself. Buy a nice tie, a nice wristwatch. Savor the moment. Enjoy the life that you have. Honestly, if you are kind to yourself, only then can you be kind to others. Number 5, listen with your heart. Listen to people genuinely. Understand that people have needs. Understand that everyone you know is going through a hard time. There is something that is difficult in everybody's life. You are not the only one having it hard. Listen with your heart. Number 6, talk back to yourself. Tell yourself you are smart. Look in the mirror and tell yourself you are incredible. Look at the mirror and tell yourself you are gifted. Tell yourself that you are able to meet targets. Tell yourself that if there is anybody who is special, you are the one. Talk back to yourself. Number 7, tune into your body. Sometimes understand how you are feeling. When you are tired, give yourself rest. When you are sick, treat yourself. When you are feeling excited, do something beautiful for yourself. Number 8, smile more. Smile. It's not too difficult to smile. Now I know that we are in a digital class, but just smile. If you can put a smiley emoji on our chat room, go ahead and do that. If you can't put the smiley emoji, just type smile. Just say, I'm smiling. So smile. I will develop digital eyes to see you right where you are and be sure you are smiling. Are you smiling now? Are you sure you're smiling? All right, I see people typing in smile. I see a smiling emoji. Yes, thank you, YC, for your smile. Thank you, Fatoye, for smiling. Thank you, Martha, for smiling. Thank you, Adebisi, for smiling. Thank you, Alice Jane Brown, for smiling. Thank you, Adekimpe, for smiling. Yes, smile, smile more. It doesn't cost a thing to smile. All right? So as we round up this class, I want to give you a quote by Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes said, never speak out of anger, never act out of fear, never choose from impatience, but wait and peace will appear. And the final quote and the last thing I'll be sharing with you on this course is this: success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that makes the difference. This is a quote by Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that makes the difference. At this junction, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this particular course, Emotional Intelligence for Human Resource Professionals. I hope it was very enlightening, and I hope you understand very well what emotional intelligence is basically all about. All right, so if you have a question, let me know at this moment. We'll take a few questions. The next lecturer is in the class, but I guess we'll be having a few minutes break before we go into the next class. And I hope you enjoyed my class. I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating, for being attentive, and for being interactive. I really enjoyed all your chats in the chat room. All right, if you have a question, now will be the time to ask your question before we go ahead. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ifeoma Eze, for that wonderful section on emotional intelligence. Please, can we give Boza to Mrs. Ifeoma Eze on this powerful section? I know it has been intriguing. It has been awesome. Let's give her Boza in the chat room. 5 Boza, let's go. Let me see your Boza in the chat room. If you want to do it digitally, you're permitted. If you want to do it, yeah, thank you, Alice. You sabi. Okay, so I'm waiting for the Bozas. I've gotten 2 from Alice, 1 from Brenda. Let's go on. Let's go on. Let's go on. It has been an enlightening segment on emotional intelligence. Thank you, Adebimpe. Okay. So while we are doing that, we'll only take, thank you, Wysin. Thank you, Fatoye. Thank you, Dr. Alice. Boy, this Dr. Alice will shift somebody head.
All right, thank you so much, everybody. I receive your bozas and your appreciation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Benito. I appreciate it, sir.
Dr. Alice, how come it's only your own boza that is looking at me like I should come and collect it? All right, thank you so much. So do we have questions? But unless I fear this, your boss, I'm hiding my head now. Okay, please, any question, we'll take 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll go on break. We've already eaten into our break. So instead of resuming by 1:30, we'll extend the break a little, and then the other lecturer is already here. So, any question? Question. All right, so if there are no questions, it simply means that Mrs. Ifeoma did extraordinarily well. Although our next lecturer is already here, but we'll go on a break. We're going straight on break so that we can return for the next section. So our break will last till 2 p.m. So we'll be resuming by 2, and that means we'll be taking from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., please. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And the next session is going to be another wonderful, powerful section on HR operations, and you don't want to miss it. HR operations, and then we also deal with compensation and benefits planning. You don't want to miss any part of it, so please join us by that time. Remember, if you've not made your commitment fee, some people still keep asking us, is the certificate free? So we wonder how those people are. Maybe they just came in. So not the only thing we are giving you for free is just for 2 days of the section. After that, we've moved all the information as much as we can in the chat room, and we keep on passing those information there. So if you've not